Blank verse. Blank verse was introduced by the Earl of Surrey in the 16th century in his translation of the Aeneid. It consists of unrhymed five-straight lines in iambic pentameter. Since then, it has become the most widely used English verse form. It is very close to the rhythms of everyday English speech. For its closeness to the everyday speech, it has been much used by dramatists. It was first used for a play Gorboduc written by Sackville and Norton. Later dramatists used it in their dramas. Thereafter, it was used in reflective and narrative poems. Milton used it for his epic Paradise Lost during late 17th century and the first half of the 18th century. It was not much used by the poets, but the 18th century poet Thomson used the blank verse in his poem The Seasons, and William Cowper used it in The Task. Wordsworth's The Prelude and many poems by Coleridge make much use of it. All the poets of the Romantic period wrote in blank verse extensively. Most of the great poets of the 19th century also used it in writing their works. Number 2, couplet. The couplet is one of the main verse forms in Western literature. It is a form of great antiquity. The couplet has proved an extremely adaptable unit. It is used in lines of different lengths as part of complex stanza forms, as a conclusion to the sonnet, as part of ottava rima and rhyme royal. It was first used by the English poet Chaucer in the Canterbury Tales. Tudor and Jacobean poets and dramatists like Shakespeare, Marlowe, Chapman, and Donne use it continuously. The couplet composed of two iambic pentameter lines. It was the most favored form, which was also known as the heroic couplet. In the 17th century, Dryden, Pope, and Dr. Johnson perfected the heroic couplet. It was also used for heroic dramas during the Restoration period. Over the course of the 18th century, the heroic couplet declined. During the Romantic period, it had gained the reputation of being artificial and mechanical. In the 20th century, it was not much used by poets, but it is still used periodically in combination with other metrical units. 3. Diction. Diction means vocabulary or the choice of words. The term is used to mean the kind of words and sentence structure or figurative language that constitute any work of literature. When poets have used a distinctive language which includes words, phrases, and figurative which are not used in ordinary language. The special use of words and phrases by a particular writer is known as diction. Diction can be literal or figurative, colloquial or idiomatic, concrete or abstract, high, middle, or low. The archaic diction in the Faerie Queene or the Latinate diction of Paradise Lost are well known examples. In the 18th century, the idea of poetic diction emerged. Poets like Thomas Gray asserted that the language of poetry was necessarily specialized and remote from ordinary language. However, the Romantic poet William Wordsworth considered poetic diction an artificial style distanced from the language of men. So, he composed his lyrical ballads in diction nearer to that of rustic laborers. Many poets of the Romantic period followed Wordsworth's example, but the idea that there is a special kind of language for poetry still persists. Fourth, genre. Genre is a French term used for a kind, type, or class of literature. Systems for categorizing genres have developed over time. Plato held that there was only three genres: lyric, epic, and drama. In modern categories, they are poetry, fiction, and drama. Aristotle extended this classification of distinguish epic, tragedy, and comedy, satire, and pastoral, which developed in the classical period, are also included. Renaissance and neoclassical critics added further categories and ranked them accordingly. Tragedy stood higher than comedy, epic higher than lyric. The other genres that developed later were autobiography, biography, and the essay. Fifth, pastoral. The term pastoral is derived from the Latin word pastor. Pastoral means pertaining to shepherds. The conventions of pastoral are found in many classical and modern European literature. Pastoral idealizes shepherd and rural life and creates an image of a peaceful and uncorrupted existence. The pastoral dates back to ancient Greece and Rome and to writers like Theocritus and Virgil. In English literature, the pastoral is a familiar theme from the Renaissance through the 19th century. Pastoral literature presents a nostalgia for the past, for some hypothetical state of love and peace. The main idea and theme of most pastoral is search for the simple life away from court and town, away from corruption, war, conflict. It celebrates innocence, simplicity, purity, and harmonious life with nature. Some of the well known pastoral works are Sidney's Arcadia, Spenser's Shepherd's Calendar, Pope's Windsor Forest, Gray's Shepherd's Week, Goldsmith's The Deserted Village, and Shelley's Adonis. Sixth, imagery. Imagery is used to refer to the use of language to represent objects, actions, feelings, thoughts, ideas, states of mind, and any sensory experience. Many images are conveyed by figurative language. These are different images like visual pertaining to eyes, olfactory, smell, tactile, touch, auditory, hearing, gustatory, taste, etc. 7. Meter. The term meter refers to the pattern of stressed and unstressed syllables in words. When stresses fall at regular intervals, they lead to meters. In English words, meter is based on stress rather than quantity. A line may have a fixed number of syllables and yet different stresses. The organization of stresses may vary from line to line, but it should not break the general pattern. Each meter speeds up the reading or slow it down sets rhythmic patterns that structure the content and establish the tone. Meter is essential to poetic experience. In English verse, the most common meters are iambic, trochaic, anapestic, dictylic, spondaic. Though meter is a technical construct, it sinks deep into human instincts for rhythm, song, time, and expression. 8. Prosody. Prosody is the study or science of metrical and rhythmic structures in poetry and prose. It includes meter, rhythm, rhyme, and stanza forms. The term is derived from an ancient Greek word that originally meant a song accompanied by music or the particular tone or accent given to an individual syllable. Greek and Latin literary critics generally regarded prosody as part of grammar. It concerned itself with the rules determining the length or shortness of a syllable and the rhythmic patterns of poetry. Although the practices of prosody apply to language of any kind in literary context, prosody usually focuses on poetry. Ninth, rhyme. A rhyme is a repetition of similar sounds in the final stressed syllables and any following syllables of two or more words. For example, slow and blow, sleep and deep are rhyming words. This is used for a musical or aesthetic effect in poems. Rhymes are classified into various types based on where they fall in a line or a stanza. There are different kinds of rhymes such as and rhyme, I rhyme, feminine rhyme, masculine rhyme, triple rhyme, etc. And rhyme is the most common form of rhyme in English poetry. The following lines from T.S. Eliot, The Love Song of J. Alfred Prufrock, show and rhyme. I grow old, I shall wear the bottoms of my trousers rolled. 10th stanza. The term stanza is derived from the Italian meaning stopping place or room. Stanza is a group of lines of verse. The stanza in poetry is equivalent to the paragraph in prose. A stanza may consist of any number of lines. 4 lines is the most common stanza form. A stanza pattern is determined by the number of lines. The number of feet is in each line and metrical and rhyming schemes. The stanza is the unit of structure in a poem, and most poets do not vary the unit within a poem. It is a basic organizational principle of verse. 11th, style. The characteristic manner of expression in prose or verse is referred to as style. It is related to how a particular writer says things. It includes such aspects as the choice of words, use of figures of speech, imagery, use of devices, the shape of sentences, the shape of paragraphs, etc. by the writer. Style is the tone and voice of the writer, and therefore it is difficult to define or analyze style. In the opinion of Buffon, style is the man. Styles have been roughly classified as A according to period, metaphysical, Augustan, Georgian, etc. B according to individual authors, Chaucerian, Miltonic, Gibbonina, Jamesian. C. According to level, grand, middle, low, and plain. D. According to language, scientific, expository, poetic, emotive, referential, journalistic, etc. 12th. Symbol. The word symbol is derived from the Greek verb symbalenion, which means to throw together. Its noun is symbolon, meaning mark, emblem, token of sign. It is an animate or inanimate object which stands for symbolic else. A symbol is different from an allegorical sign. A symbol has a real existence, whereas an allegorical sign is arbitrary. A symbol bears multiple suggestions and associations. It is unique to the work, not common to a culture. Scales are a symbol of juice. A dove symbolizes peace. The rose symbolizes beauty. The lion is a symbol of strength and courage. Actions and gestures are also symbolic. A clenched fist symbolizes aggression. Arms raised suggest surrender. Beating of the chest suggests remorse. Most religious and fertility rites have symbolic movements and gestures. A literary symbol combines an image with concept. It may be public or private, universal or local, says Kudon. For example, in literature, journey into the underworld and return from it is a public or universal symbol. In the other words of W.B. Yeats, symbol of the sun and moon, a tower, a mask, a tree, a hawk are frequently used. Dante's Divina Commedia is a structurally symbolic work. The poetry of Black and Shelley is full of symbols. The shooting of albatross in Coleridge's Rime of the Ancient Mariner symbolizes all sin. It is a symbol of lack of respect for the natural order. T.S. Eliot makes use of the symbols of fire and the rose in his four quatrains. Thank you.